Imagine an innocent little girl, full of life and excitement, suddenly coming home with her head down, her eyes brimming with tears. Something had broken her spirit. But what? And more importantly, who? What her parents would soon discover would shake them to their core and set off a chain of events that no one, especially her teacher, could have seen coming. Gabriella Green, just 8 years old, always ran home from Cedarwood Elementary, eager to tell her mom, Jasmine, all about her day. But today was different. Today, she walked with slow, heavy steps, clutching her backpack as if it were a shield. Jasmine's heart clenched. Something was wrong. "Gabby, what happened?" Jasmine knelt down, looking into her daughter's deep brown eyes, already shimmering with unshed tears. Gabriella hesitated, her little hands trembling as she reached into her backpack. Slowly, she pulled out a math worksheet, covered in bright red ink. But it wasn't the mistakes that made her cry. It was the words at the bottom. Absolutely pathetic. Jasmine's breath caught in her throat. The words, scrawled harshly in red, were accompanied by a sad face. She could feel her pulse pounding as she tried to stay calm for her daughter. "Who wrote this?" she asked, though she already had a sinking feeling. Gabriella wiped her nose and whispered, "Mrs. Thornton. She said I'm too slow." A cold fury settled over Jasmine. Mrs. Thornton had always seemed strict, but this was cruel. She pulled Gabriella close, hugging her tight. "It's okay, baby," she whispered. "We'll figure this out." But Jasmine knew this was something her husband, Darius, needed to see. And if Mrs. Thornton had any idea who Darius Green was, she would have thought twice before humiliating his daughter. Darius Green wasn't just any dad. He was a powerhouse, a civil rights attorney who had taken down corrupt officials, fought for justice, and won. In their small town, his name carried weight. But Mrs. Thornton, she was new. She didn't know. That was about to change. That evening, Jasmine waited for Darius to set down his briefcase before handing him the worksheet. His face darkened as he read the words. "She wrote this?" His voice was dangerously calm. Gabriella nodded, her lip quivering. Darius knelt beside her, his strong hands resting gently on her shoulders. "Sweetheart," he said, his voice softer now, "you are not pathetic. You hear me?" Tears spilled over as she threw herself into his arms. He held her close, running his fingers through her curls. But when he looked up, Jasmine saw it, the storm brewing in his eyes. "Tomorrow," he said, standing up, "we're going to talk to your teacher." Jasmine nodded, but deep down she knew talking wouldn't be enough. The next morning, they arrived at Cedarwood Elementary. Gabriella, usually so eager to run up the steps, dragged her feet. Darius squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Where's your classroom, baby?" Gabriella pointed toward the far end of the hall. Without hesitation, Darius led the way, Jasmine right beside him. Inside the classroom, Mrs. Thornton was hunched over a stack of papers. She barely looked up. "May I help you?" she asked, her tone clipped. Darius smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. "Yes, we're Gabriella's parents. We need to talk about this." He placed the worksheet on her desk. Mrs. Thornton glanced at it, then back at them, an edge of annoyance in her expression. "Oh," she said dismissively. "That." Jasmine's nails dug into her palm. "That? You wrote absolutely pathetic on a second grader's work," she said, keeping her voice steady. "Don't you think that's a bit much?" Mrs. Thornton exhaled sharply. "I can't coddle every child who refuses to focus. Gabriella struggles because she doesn't try hard enough." Darius gripped the back of a chair to keep his composure. "A wake-up call? She's 8. She needs to learn," Mrs. Thornton snapped. "Life isn't about sunshine and rainbows. I'm preparing her for the real world." Jasmine saw red. "You're supposed to teach her, not break her spirit." Mrs. Thornton shrugged, completely unbothered. "My methods work." Darius inhaled deeply, then leaned forward. "Mrs. Thornton, do you know what I do for a living?" The teacher frowned. I suppose not. I'm an attorney, a civil rights attorney. I've spent my career fighting for children's rights, and right now, I'm looking at an educator who thinks it's okay to humiliate a child." Mrs. Thornton's face paled. Darius reached into his pocket, pulled out his card, and placed it on her desk. She swallowed hard, staring at the bold letters, Darius Green, civil rights attorney. "Oh," she whispered. "No," Darius said coldly. "You didn't know, but now you do." He turned to Gabriella. "Come on, sweetheart. You're going to the library for now." Then to Mrs. Thornton, "We'll be speaking to the principal and the school district." Mrs. Thornton opened her mouth, but no words came out. At the principal's office, Principal Alcott read the worksheet with a grave expression. "This is unacceptable," he said. "We'll handle this." By the end of the day, Gabriella was reassigned to a new warm-hearted teacher, Mrs. Ruiz. And Mrs. Thornton? She found herself under investigation. Word spread like wildfire. Teachers whispered about the girl whose father was a high-profile lawyer. Some said Mrs. Thornton would be fired. Others claimed she'd just been warned. Either way, she was no longer so quick with her red pen insults. Meanwhile, Gabriella flourished. She came home smiling, eager to share what she'd learned. Her new teacher left encouraging comments on her work. And Darius? He watched his daughter regain her confidence, his heart swelling with pride. Then, One afternoon, as Darius grabbed groceries, a woman approached him, one of Mrs. Thornton's friends. "Do you really want to ruin her career?" she asked timidly. Darius looked her dead in the eye. "I want teachers to understand their words matter. If she changes, good. If not, then yes, she's in the wrong job." And just like that, he walked away. Weeks later, Gabriella handed her dad a drawing. It showed her as a little superhero, cape flying, pencil in hand. Above them, in bright, colorful letters, were the words, "Thank you for helping me." Arius knelt beside her, hugging her tight. "I'll always help you, sweetheart," he whispered. "Always." And as for Mrs. Thornton, well, let's just say she learned a lesson she'd never forget.